Hey everyone, it's Steve with You Can Cook It. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the pots and pans that you use. Now, I've tried pretty much everything that's on the market to date. I've tried aluminum pans and pots, anodized coatings, stainless steel. I've done some Calphalon, Teflon. Back in the day I got a nice gift someone gave me and I used those for a little while until I saw the first sign of flaking. Very cautious with that stuff. I didn't use it for too long. And then eventually I moved into, I've got these Orgreenic pans, and these are really good non-stick pans. You need to treat them. You got to coat them in oil and you got to treat them on the stove and let them warm up and then wipe the oil out. And you have to treat them every once in a while to get the most use out of these pans. Again, they're good pans. Some of the flaws that I think are, some of the things that I personally think are flaws are, you have these two big rivets in place that hold the handle on. The handle's great, nice and sturdy. You can cook something on the stovetop and stick it in the oven and not worry about it because it's a steel handle. But the problem with that is these little rivets, if whatever it is that you're cooking, you're like, I like to bake a cake in here or something, then these will potentially cause scorch marks in the cake, as well as you get in there cleaning, or if you're trying to cook, and sometimes these will get in the way of a spoon or whatever it is you're doing. A lot of times you're trying to get a spatula in from the side, whatever. The other issue that you have to that I have with these is you have to be careful with the coating. Again, if you go a little too high on the heat, it will scorch and the pan's ruined. So typically medium, high at the absolute most. And because it doesn't have that thick base on the bottom, this is just a stamped piece of metal that they put the coating on. It heats unevenly. So what do you expect from a $15–20 pan? Again, it's a good pan, relatively inexpensive, but there's a lot of things you have to be careful with when you're using that pan. My big pots like this. This is Cuisinart. You can see it's got the big metal base on the bottom. It's heats evenly, and again, it's just a simple stainless. There's no reason to spend $1 million on a giant pot, except for to have a nice base to heat whatever it is. I make my soups. I boil a lot of foods in that. So I do have a nice arrangement of stainless pots and pans. And my stainless pans I do use occasionally, depending on what I'm doing. If I have a sauce, if there's a potential for something to scorch the bottom, then I stay away. I don't want to clean it. What I've found recently is a brand called Scanpan out of Denmark. They have this titanium coating, and it's non-stick. It's great. Like in this pan, I can put 3 eggs and maybe a quarter teaspoon of butter to cook those eggs in. And the butter is there because when you cook an egg or cook something without any fat in the pan, it just gives it a weird kind of texture, consistency. It just makes the food taste better as well. So you can use a minimum amount of fat in the pan to cook whatever it is. You don't have to use any fat, in fact. And there's a couple times where I wanted to make something without any fat and it worked just fine. Another nice thing about these pans, as you can see, it's got a nice little surface finish with a bunch of grooves that have been machined into the bottom, and it's nice and thick, so it gives you a nice even heat as you're cooking, so you don't get any hot spots underneath that pan. And the handle, yeah, it's plastic, but it's good to 500 degrees, and I've tried it out myself where I cook something on the cooktop, take it out like a steak, put it in an oven. No issues whatsoever. A lot of times I don't buy a special baking pan for anything that I'm going to bake. I'll just put whatever into my pan, regular pan, stick it in the oven, and because the handle is good to 500 degrees, no issues. The other nice thing is that obviously cleanup is real simple. It's non-stick. And because of the type of surface, you don't have to really worry about the utensils that you're using. Now typically I use wood and bamboo, right? Most everything that I have in here is wood and bamboo. I've got a couple of things of silicone for mixing and my whisk and stuff like that. But if you have nice steel utensils, you can use them in these pans. It's not an issue. It's not a big deal. You don't have to treat them like delicate little flowers. They're really tough. They're really resistant. Comes at a price. They're a bit pricier than the rest of the pans that I have, but again, it's well worth it. Well worth it. I don't like a Tefal or a Calphalon non-stick type of coating. Again, you have to be careful with heat. I know they have new and improved pans and they improve the technology year after year, But myself personally, I'm not a big fan of having to treat a pan like that, right? You're technically abusing that implement. You're putting it on something hot, and then you're going to scrub it out and clean it, and whatever detergent you use, and so on and so forth. So I want something that's a bit robust, and these are the kinds of things that you buy once and you have them for a really, really long time, so you don't have to worry about replacement. And again, they are pricey. I'll put a link to a low bar in the low bar to the set that I bought. But I recommend them, highly recommend them. They're so far the best pans that I've ever used, and I personally think that if you are looking to get a new pot, pan, even a single pot or pan, like I said, they're probably $80, $90, $100, $120, $200 for the bigger ones. But again, you buy one, you have it for a lifetime, absolutely worth it. So if you're looking for a decent pan, the Orgreenic, relatively cost effective, inexpensive, some downsides, good pan though. If you're looking to make an investment, like I was, then Scanpan is definitely the way to go.